So you can see there, that's the Kent School crew making their way down. You see they've dropped their rating now. It seems that they're going to take this one home. That's the crew of Lindsay Smith, Alison Johnson, Paige Lane, Gabriella Sullivan and Thalia Hardman. And following them down the course, giving it their all in what will most likely be the final race of their season. In the Kingston Rowing Club crew, we have Sophia Waddington, Francesca Bowden, Jessica Martin, Levine Dozange, and William Huddleston in the coxing seats. And now back up to the start for another heat, quarter-final I should say, of the Junior 16s Cox Falls between Headington School and Marlow Rowing Club B.
And they're off from the start, both crews heaving their boats along, pushing off from their foot plates and just making sure that they've got that lead in the first point of Temple Island. As I think Gregory and Martin were saying earlier, it's a strange part of the course because it's so intense as it's enclosed by the island and the trees, and then suddenly you open out onto this huge lengthy course. It's a real mind game, I think, for the crews.
Yeah, it definitely is. You start on that very quiet, sheltered part, and then the course opens up, becomes slightly detached from the bank, and that's the real hard part of the racing, when you're just left burning, racing, not knowing what result could come at that point in the race, and there's nothing. You can't hear the bank at that point. All that's left for these crew will be the cox's voice. But it is a tight one, and if everything goes to plan for the Marlow coaches, it could be the case that tomorrow morning we have Marlow Rowing Club B racing against Marlow Rowing Club A in the semi-final of this event.
That'd be a toughly contested one. It's always difficult when you've got one club rowing as A and B. I know for the people in those crews it's tough. That's friends against friends. Always a bit of added extra drama when we have those kinds of races on the course.
But still the crews seem to be dead level at the quarter mile. This is turning out to be a very exciting race, as always is with junior events. Approaching our commentary position here, you can see the camera on our tower. It seems to be the Headington School on the Berkshire station that have a slight advantage of, I'd say, about half a length at this stage over the crew from Marlow. They're, of course, their B crew in this event.
Yeah, Headington are just pushing out ever so slightly on each stroke, and actually even as they've gone past us, they've increased their lead on Marlow B crew. An incredible performance so far from both crews. Okay, so just going off from the starting posts up at Temple Island, we have race number 224. So we have Lee Rowing Club on the Berkshire station, and we have Marlow Rowing Club A on the Buckinghamshire station.
It's almost like a game of Guess Who in the screen at the moment. We've got two Marlow crews, on the camera, but it seems to be, in this case, it is the Marlow crew in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen that are taking the early initiative in this race. As you can see, Temple Island in the background there as they approach the quarter-mile position. It is the Marlow crew which have led out against Lee Rowing Club. You can just see Lee coming into shot there. Very composed there in the Marlow crew. Lee Rowing Club still seem to be in their starting phase, need to settle down onto rhythm.
So in the Marlow crew we have Molly Newman, Ella Marsh, Eloise Brindle, Molly Fennell and Katie Leonard. And in the Lee crew we have Victoria Andrews, Anna McLehouse Griffin, bit of a mouthful there, Ariana Ford, Anna May Knight and Uma Jevtik.
Of course, the final few races left today. We've got 15 more races to bring you here on the Saturday of Henley Women's Regatta, ready for all the semi-finals tomorrow morning, and then of course the finals in the afternoon. It's going to be a very exciting day's racing coming up tomorrow, but still with this race it is the Marlow A crew that are leading Lee by just a bit more than a length. You can see that clear water margin. There you go, you can hear as they cycle past the Lee coach urging his crew on to pick it up in the legs.
Yeah, Marlow, we're just looking at slightly more composed and relaxed. Got a very enthusiastic coach down here. I think Leah getting some hard coaching from their supporters and team here, but it'll all pay off. It still looks like Marlow though have that lead, pushing on every stroke, just lengthening their strokes, keeping their rate quite low actually in comparison to others. Okay, so just leaving the end of Temple Island, we have race number 225 with New Walk Rowing Club and Tideway Sculler School. I think it's pretty difficult to tell actually from these camera angles who's got a lead at the moment, but I think it could be the Buckinghamshire, no, I tell a lie, I mean the Berkshire station, so New Walk Rowing Club, I think might just have the lead at the moment. And on the top screen we can just see Marlow coming into their last bit of the race, still in the lead against Lee Rowing Club.
Very tight race here as they come past our commentary position. You can see in the bottom left hand corner of your screen there's our white tower. Now coming past us, it's too hard to tell. It's Bowable for Bowable as they come past.
Looks like Newark might be just slightly creeping ahead, but still all to play for at this stage. There's still also a significant amount of support still here, even though it is gone 6 o'clock now. The banks are still pretty filled with supporters for those last 15 races, I think Will said a minute ago. Mind you, the weather is pretty fantastic. Who wouldn't want to be sunbathing now?
Yeah, you would not be able to tell it is 6:15 in the evening here, given the bright sunshine and the perfect racing conditions we have.
Okay, and another race has just begun, which is race number 226, which is a composite crew of Nottingham Rowing Club and Strathclyde on the Berkshire station, and DSRV Lager from the Netherlands on the Buckinghamshire station.
Of course, this event is for the Aspirational Quadruple Sculls Chairman's Trophy, and we can see here it's the crew from the Netherlands have hit the booms, and the Nottingham and Strathclyde Park composites seem to be walking away with it at this stage, but the Dutch crew, now back on course, must have had a huge adrenaline rush from that instant with the booms, and are now charging back and making their return to the course against Nottingham and Strathclyde.
Yeah, that was certainly a disappointing start from them, but as we saw earlier with the Tideway Scullers, I mean, I think they pretty much completely stopped rowing, and then they must have been about 7 lengths behind, and they still managed to win a race. So it seems to be proven that hitting the booms isn't the worst thing in the world.
This would not be the first time that we've seen a crew come from behind. Exactly.
Second burst, make sure you're getting out. Wow.
But it does seem that the composite crew on the Berkshire station do just have the lead there. Seem to have a nice smooth rhythm, just making it look quite effortlessly actually, Will, don't you think?
Yes, despite your pronunciation there, it is effortless.
No, it's been a long day.
Of course, Lager crew coming past now. They do actually look quite tight, very symmetrical in their pattern here. The catches just being dropped in, placed in front end of the stroke very perfectly. So they're doing themselves proud in this race here at Henley Women's Regatta. We can still see in the top right hand corner of your shot there the Tideway Scullers Cox form making their way to the finish line. But it does seem to be a huge advantage now for the Nottingham and Strathclyde Park composite quad. 3 more races in this event to bring you, and some Cox 4s, finishing the day with the J16 quads, and 1 race that's moved from earlier in the academic aspirational 8s. At this stage, as the camera focuses on the Lager crew from the Netherlands, the margin doesn't seem to have changed too much between these quads, so Nottingham and Strathclyde do still have their work cut out to maintain that gap that they have over Lager. But we can see now it's a perfect line down the course, close to the booms, but it's not phasing this quad at all. They're too experienced on this Henley course, it seems.
We can just see on our cameras up here, not quite on your screens yet, but we've got the next race getting ready, which is number 227. It's the University of Tulsa in the USA. Apologise for my pronunciation of that. and then Tideway Sculler School on the Buckinghamshire station. And just to give you a rundown of who is in those crews that are currently racing down the course, so for the DSRV Lager from the Netherlands is Emma de Zieu, Pauline Verkeek, Sophie Mans and Silk Taz. And from the composite crew, it was Amy Hicken, Erica Hurst, Perry McCluskey and Molly Johnson.
Coming under starters orders now is another quads race between the University of Tulsa from the United States of America and the Tideway Scullers School based just shy of Chiswick Bridge on the Tideway. Just see now they've about ready to square their blades at attention, and lovely drone shot there of the empty Henley course ready to receive them all the way down the track past Temple Island, past the meadows, into the Regatta enclosure and through to the finish line. This is race number 227.
Wow, that really is a good shot of the course actually there from the drone. Quite impressive.
Of course, we've mentioned it earlier on, but for our viewers who have just joined us, Henley Women's Regatta was actually the first regatta to pioneer the use of a drone in racing footage. Most people think it is Henley Royal Regatta, but actually Henley Women's Regatta were the first people to do it about 7 years ago now. And the crews are off the start. It's a clean getaway for both crews. You can see there the University of Tulsa have actually borrowed a boat from Newcastle University.
So just whilst they're doing their first stretch on the course, we'll give you a bit of a rundown on who's in each boat. So for the American crew on the Berkshire station, we have Danny Fusco House, Lizzie McCabe, Michaela Burns and Eliza Vandersloot. And in the, just double check I'm going to say the right school, yeah, Tideway Sculler School, we have Olivia von Staffenberg, Celia Matthews, Carter Nelson and Mia Thomas. You can just see there that the Berkshire station crew were just steering almost into the booms, but I think they've managed to recover it. They're looking pretty straight now.
It is that Tideway Scullers crew that have seized the start of this race and are leading, but yeah, they were playing chicken earlier on, exiting Temple Island with the booms. Now you can see the coach cycling along the bank there. Now Tideway Scullers slowly stretching out this lead from 3/4 of a length all the way down that bow canvas of the Tulsa crew into a full length advantage as they approach our commentary position.
Yeah, this drone footage really highlights the smoothness of this Tideway Scullers School boat and how they're gliding through the water. I would actually say a lot more smoothly than the American crew. I think it's this that's helping them just edge away on every stroke. They're just pushing further and further out. However, the American crew definitely not giving up. They're still catching them.
So cycling along the bank there was Kieran Clark. He's been up and down this course so many times today in his bicycle because Tideway Scullers have a huge entry into Henley Women's Regatta, and of course, being a Saturday, they have had a number of successes making it through to this stage of racing with all of the entries that they do have. The race starting on the bottom left hand corner of your screen there is race number 228 between Reading University and a composite school from the Netherlands involving the boat club AASR Skull. Of course, AASR Skull no strangers to success at Henley. Recently a men's quad from that club won the Prince of Wales Challenge Cup at Henley Royal Regatta, which is one of the most hotly contested club and student events.
I believe as well last year they had a number of crews entered into Henley Women's. I seem to remember commentating on them and stating how actually incredibly good they were, and I do believe they made a significant number of finals and semis last year. And on the top of the screen, on the top right, you can just see Tideway Scullers coming into their last few strokes of their race, still ahead of Newark. A really good race from Tideway Scullers. Another one to almost finish off Tideway Scullers racing. I think they've got one more crew entered later on, but a successful day, I think, for Tideway Scullers. I'll be pleased with their results. And just see this next race coming down past the commentary position here, looking pretty neck and neck actually. I think the Berkshire Station are just pushing on ahead, which is the Reading University of Strong Crew, a hardcore training program, I believe. Tom was telling us earlier. He seemed to know quite a lot about the crews down there and their training program, but it's certainly paying off with this race as they're just pushing again, stroke after stroke, just moving ahead of the composite Netherlands crew.
Of course, Reading University renowned for their sculling ability in the British rowing scene, with numerous athletes representing Great Britain from Reading University and at under 23 and both senior level.
So on the start line now, we just had the race number 229 starting, so Gloucester Hartbury and Molesey Boat Club. got Molesey on the Buckinghamshire side and Gloucester Hartbury on the Berkshire station.
You can just see there a bit of a mistake from the Gloucester Hartbury crew. They're all straying way across. Seems major issue there. Don't know what's happened. They've stopped rowing and are just drifting across to the wrong side of the river.
No, an unfortunate start there. I'm not too sure what's gone wrong.
Seems to me they are now parked at Temple Island.
Wow, it's an interesting start to that race.
But yes, we can see now the crew in your bottom left-hand side of the screen. It almost seems as if we got the same shot on both split screens. It is the Molesey crew that are just paddling down the course now. There's no chance that this crew from Gloucester Hartbury are going to make up the gap that they have lost off the start.
No, it does seem that they've started rowing again from what we can see from our position up here.
Yeah, they're definitely going back onto their race pace. Not sure what that issue was there. They sort of seemed to stop rowing and then stray across, almost if they had a steering issue or someone had a crab that brought them all the way across into Molesey's path.
Yeah, disappointing start for them, but nevertheless. So just whilst they're coming past us, we'll give you an insight to who's rowing. So Molesey, we've got Charlotte Bainbridge, Ellie Alexopoulos, Megan Dethart and Sarah Diu. And in the Gloucester Hartbury crew we have Orla Cottier, Eve Wright, Annabelle Radbourne and Chelsea Armstrong. And on your screens now you're just seeing Reading University crew celebrating their victory in that race. They're looking very pleased with themselves. So we'll be seeing them racing tomorrow.
And now we go back up to the start line for the first quarter-final today in the Development Coxed Fours, which is for the Frank B. Harry Cup. You can see this is a race between Dundee University and the University of Edinburgh